What is up, YouTube? I'm Devon Da Vinci, leader of the Renaissance Crew, and you're watching Da Vinci Reacts. Today we're going to be getting into another video from Atun Shia Films. I think that's how you pronounce it. Like I said, I've watched a lot of their videos. I'm a big fan of his. He does some amazing stuff. In particular, he does like a lot of videos around the Louisiana area, New Orleans, and things like that. And I'm somebody that wasn't necessarily raised in Louisiana, but I spent a lot of my childhood in Louisiana. I want to say for about like 4 years, I lived in Louisiana, and it was one of the funnest things that I ever experienced. Definitely had some of the best food. Definitely. I'm talking about school lunches when you got jambalaya and like all types of like sauces with like these crazy seasonings, and it was amazing. I loved living in Louisiana, but also that's where I first became a big time gamer, so that always means a lot to me. I'll always remember that Sega channel and Super Nintendo, Primal Rage. I had a lot of fun in my childhood. But this is a video that he made in his Checkmate Lincolnites series, and this video is called Confederate Soldiers Didn't Fight for Slavery. Or did they? So let's go ahead and check and see what he has to say, because a lot of the arguments that he makes in these videos are arguments that he's heard people say on Twitter. And I guess this is pretty much like him answering Twitter questions, but he's doing it in a creative way by giving the Twitter messages a character. So everything plays through this character, and he pretty much just like puts him in his place. So let's watch this, see what it has to offer. And if you have any arguments against this, just know I'm not a specialist, so arguing with me isn't going to do much. Go to his channel, and if you have an issue with what he presents here, then leave it in the comment section, and maybe you'll find yourself in one of his videos. But with that being said, let's jump into this and see what it has to offer.
Hey, didn't I kill you in the last episode?
No, sir, I do not believe so.
I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I shot you through the body until you were dead.
Previously on Checkmate Lincolnites.
No, that must have been some other Confederate officer.
Is that a blood-stained uniform lying at your feet?
Checkmate, Lincolnites! The program where we stoutly defend the South against those who would besmirch her. Like the
He's playing this out so well that I forgot that this is the same person recording the video. Like, I didn't even pay attention to him, thinking like, okay, well, this is the same person recording. And if you do videos like this, like, first of all, whenever I'm watching a video as a YouTuber, I'm looking at the techniques that they're using to film, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can replicate that. Okay, what did they use? What did they do to do this? And I'm pretty sure I have a good idea of what they did to make this video. One of the characters is likely in a green screen. I'm guessing it's the Confederate character that's actually being recorded in front of the green screen, and then he's just like putting that in later. But you still have to time everything right, because if the timing is off, then the conversation isn't going to be as natural. But the way he has everything lined up, I'm wondering what he did to make sure that the conversation came off as natural. I don't know if maybe he has like a signal that lets him know when to talk, when not to talk, or whatever else. But it seems like he did a lot of like he took care of a lot of like smaller details that many people probably wouldn't think about. But it's just something that caught my eye.
brave boys at Fredericksburg, we shall stand for...
Fredericksburg! Oh, sorry. Too soon, I guess.
Sir, I have invited you here because you have called the excellent film Gods and Generals a piece of propaganda.
It is propaganda.
I actually saw
No, it's
that
not,
video
and I
today.
say that as a Latino. It's just like Gettysburg. It doesn't have bias approach. It's respectful to both sides. So do us a favor and shut up.
Come on, man. You're making this so easy. Give me some of the challenging comments, you know? Bring out the big guns. It's okay. I can take it.
It's funny when snot-nosed, green behind the ear, force-fed warm bullshit college boys say,
I've heard wet behind the ears. Never heard green behind the ears. That's new to me.
Green behind the ear, force-fed warm bullshit college boys such as yourself just regurgitate all the totally false narratives you learned. You, sir, are
Somebody that has a
syphilis
problem with
infested
college.
crotch goblin and deserve to be eaten alive by pygmy ants. God save the South!
And you know what? That's actually completely true.
Gods and Generals is a historically accurate film. You're just angry because it isn't a communist, leftist, anti-Southern propaganda film. You leftist scum try to rewrite history to fit into your anti-American narrative.
Yeah, anti-American, like being against slavery. Leftists, like being against slavery. Sure. So that's what your side enjoy. I know I'm putting a lot of stuff into it. That's not what the right is entirely about. It's just a certain percentage of the the right that does these stupid ass arguments and think that they're making a point. So now being part of the Union or being in favor of the Union is anti-American, as opposed to supporting the side that was at war with America and wanted to destroy what America represented. Just think about that. They had such a problem with America, they went to war with it. But yet the side that is with America is anti-American.
So criticizing the Confederacy is anti-American.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, well, my question that I have for you, sir, is what planet are you living on? Gods and Generals isn't just historically inaccurate and horribly offensive. It also does a terrible job of simply representing humanity. Nobody could be that perfect and flawless and pious and awesome all of the time. You know what movie I want to see? I want to see a movie that has a scene where Stonewall Jackson sits on the toilet and takes a huge crap. That's humanity.
How dare you speak of the general releasing his bowels? This perspective is so biased. Yes, slavery was in the mix, but South really complex. And not every Southern Red fought for slavery. Hell, even Confederate generals were against the practice. So do a big homeworks on it.
That's a lie.
What?
Most Confederate generals absolutely approved
I don't
of
know what he
slavery,
said.
and your average Confederate soldier knowingly fought to preserve it.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
No, they
Yes,
did
they
not.
did.
No,
Yes,
they
they
did
did.
not.
Yes,
They
they
did
did.
not.
Yes,
They
they
did
did.
not, sir.
Yes, they
No,
did.
no,
Yes, they
no.
did.
They
Yes, they
did
did.
not,
Yes, they
sir.
did.
They
Yes, they
did
did.
not,
Yes, they
sir.
did. Yes,
No,
they did.
no,
Yes, they did.
no,
Yes, they did.
no. Can't agree with YouTube videos calling the South then all evil. I can't see why anyone would pick up a rifle to defend the high-class society ownership of slaves. That don't make no sense. The so-called lost cause agenda, however, does.
That's just it. You can't comprehend, as a 21st century person, from your point of view, why someone would take up arms and knowingly defend slavery. And yet, that is exactly what Confederate soldiers did. To understand why, you've got to just let go of the benefit of hindsight for a second and look at the politics of the 1860s from the Southern point of view.
I don't give a rat's ass about them rich Southern politicians whose aims were to preserve slavery. They should have been hanged. But the common soldier didn't give a shit about slaves or slavery. They were too poor.
Yeah, here's the thing. And
Bullshit.
I know you're not going to want to hear this, but they did give a shit. Multiple books have been written about this topic. Yeah, Confederate soldiers went to war for a variety of reasons. Were they defending their homes and families from invasion? Yes. But they also believed that preserving slavery was in the Confederacy's best interest. It was widely believed that emancipation would lead to servile insurrection, basically a race war. Did you know that volunteers in the Army of Northern Virginia were about 40% more likely to own slaves than the rest of the Southern population? Don't you think that's a little bit telling?
President Lincoln. President Lincoln, in his first inaugural, by that time 8 states had seceded from the Union. And Lincoln had a promise for them. He said, I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery where it currently exists.
We're not talking about President Lincoln.
Exactly. That is 100% irrelevant. Yes, Lincoln did not initially fight to free slaves. He said that many times. But he eventually did turn the other way, whereas Confederates did not. So using Abraham Lincoln as if he's like, oh, but he supported it and you guys were okay with it then. But we know from hindsight that he eventually changed his mind.
We're talking about your great-grandpappy, the average Confederate soldier. Here's a quote. This is Confederate
I love his outrage
cavalryman
face.
Frank Myers, registering his oath of allegiance to the Union in 1867. This is directly from his diary. Registered. That means swore to be a liar, fool, villain, and ain't white anymore, ain't honest anymore. And registered as loyal to the United States, and no honest, honorable, sensible, decent white man can be that. It's a common theme that you see in the writings of surrendering Confederates. They felt like they weren't white anymore.
Look up the moral tariff.
Late in the war, when Confederates were debating amongst themselves whether to enlist slaves in the army, Private Joseph Maids wrote, I did not volunteer my services to fight for a free Negro's free country, but for a free man's free country. And I do not think I love my country well enough to fight with black soldiers.
Well, what about them northern states? What about the northern
That
states?
sounds like someone who's very concerned with states' rights, don't you think? Here's another one. This is from General James Longstreet, talking to his men after General Benjamin Butler refused to return fugitive slaves to Southern masters. Here's what he has to say.
I don't want to hear.
Already has the hatred of one of their great leaders attempted to make the Negro your equal by declaring his freedom. They care not for the blood of babes, nor carnage of innocent women, which servile insurrection thus stirred up may bring upon their heads. Imagine how silly former Confederates must have felt after the 13th Amendment was passed and that didn't happen. It was a doomsday prophecy that just didn't come true. So, of course, they had to undergo all sorts of mental gymnastics to prove that the last 4 years of horrendous violence meant something, anything. So they started convincing themselves that, oh no, we didn't fight just for slavery. I mean, that was just a tiny little part of this bigger issue of states' rights that's gone all the way back to the founding of the country. But even this lie doesn't jive with the political actions of ex-Confederates during Reconstruction, when they fought tooth and nail to stop the progress of civil rights in this country.
Silly Bolshevik tricks like this are amateurish. Why don't you address John Brown or that genocidal maniac Sherman? Why didn't the North just let the South live in peace? Why?
Well, if this is what being a communist is about, then I will safely say that I am a communist. If this is what it supports, as opposed to the alternative, which would be American, not communist. What would be the term for it? Capitalist, I guess? Like, what? Okay.
Look, I know it's hard to hear that your great-grandpappy was all in for slave labor. It's a bummer, even taking into account his reasons for believing that, and to him, they were good reasons. You don't want to think of him that way. You want to think of him as this heroic defender of hearth and home, not as an enthusiastic foot soldier in the slaver's army. But the truth is, he was both. He was a complicated, flawed human being, just like you or me. Now all the great-grandpappies are in the ground, and they've been moldering there for more than 100 years. If you could go back in time and meet them, their beliefs would have horrified you. These long-dead racists are not your friends. You have nothing in common with them. What they stood for was evil, and everybody seems to know it, but you.
And until you guys reconcile that fact, you really shouldn't be surprised that you're being criticized.
Get this man some more patrons. I only saw like 4 or 5 names on there. I'm going to leave a link for his Patreon account in the description box of this video. So if you want to go and check it out, be sure to do that. He has a ton of videos about, well, he has a whole playlist about Checkmate Lincolnites, but he also has a ton of videos related to the Civil War, related to history in the 1800s and different facets and events and stuff that happened, not just related to the Confederacy and the Union and the Civil War and stuff like that, but about like just things that happened during that time. So if you would like to know more about that, I will leave a link for his channel inside this video. You'll see an icon pop up right around here somewhere. You can click on it, go to their channel, and watch all their videos. And again, the Patreon is going to be in the description box down below. Now, if you want to show me some support, you can always hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Or if you want to be more generous, I have a Patreon as well. It's only $1 a month. I'll probably be adding another tier at some point. And it gives you access to exclusive content. So I have TV show reactions and movie reactions. Movie reactions are actually exclusive to Patreon. You're only going to see the reactions there. This week, I'm actually planning on doing a reaction to Downfall, the video that I'm sure you're all familiar with when you see the memes of the Hitler being outraged videos. That's where that clip comes from. So I'm planning on going to watch that movie this weekend. Now, it is in subtitles, so you'll have to read, but hopefully that should be okay. Now, with that being said, if you want to show me some support, come and join me. Right now, I'm still doing my weekly reaction to The Office, the UK version, on Patreon. It's every Wednesday. I believe I'm getting close to the end. I'm probably on season 2, episode 6, I think. I'm going to have to look, but I think I'm season 2, episode 6. And then I'll have the Christmas special after that. But if you want to see that, again, it's only $1 a month. You can sign up to my Patreon, and you should have all the access to it. Now, with that being said, I'm Devon Da Vinci. Hopefully you've been enlightened. I have. And I will go and check out more videos on Atun Shai's channel. Damn it, I need to learn how to properly pronounce it. And I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the comment section down below of this video. But I'm going to go ahead and end this. So I'm going to give you the deuces, and I'm signing out. Deuces.